All right, you are live. Okay, so we've been doing a lot of streams around Palantir, Defense Tech. Somehow it all comes back to Joe Lonsdale. Joe Lonsdale was my first exposure into Palantir, and Joe Lonsdale has been making really interesting content. So he has a podcast called Dynamism, I believe, and American Optimism or Optimism, I believe. American Optimism. It's pretty cool. It's really cool. It's really focused on this entire concept of EAC, effective accelerationism, which is the fact that hey, let's let's just bring out the builders and let's build. So let's focus over here on what Joe Lonsdale has in his writings, in his blog. Okay. In case you need a break from reading about US politics with just days until the election, my A2VC colleagues and I published a new piece on AI services today. And also he's running 8VC. I believe he has found a bunch of billion-dollar companies. Uh, I remember I remember watching this one podcast where he shares about how he goes about it, which is basically just brainstorming, understanding all the industries where there is a massive gap and just attacking them. So most of the time you just spend brainstorming, thinking about ideas and thinking about industries where there is a lot of inefficiency and how we can build a company that is very efficient in that same market. AI exposed jobs and wages in the US service industries, business operations manager, human resources, project management, other non-retail sales rep, architecture and engineering, legal, lawyers, paralegal, computer and data science, financial operations. So these are all the jobs that are exposed in the US service industry. Okay. One of the most interesting megatrends in the innovation world is how advances in AI paired with modern SaaS and operations expertise are beginning to disrupt huge parts of the legacy services economy. See this chart. At 8VC, we have deployed hundreds of millions of dollars into these opportunities. The new wave of tech enabled services companies should significantly increase productivity growth in the USA within the decade. And it turns out that the lessons and playbooks from Palantir are highly relevant. Last month, the first company I co-founded, Palantir, joined the S&P 500. Wow, that's true. That's true. I think Palantir came out with this entire, like they basically posted, had a Twitter post about it, and they also mentioned some really well-known companies that were dropped out of S&P 500 since these three new companies were added. For most of 20 years, the naive mainstream view of Palantir was that it was a glorified consultancy, a services firm, and not a real tech innovator, building SaaS products or platforms. To dismiss Palantir early on was short-sighted, given they had hired some of the Silicon Valley's top tech talent, but it was based on a factual observation. Unlike most software businesses, many of our engineers spend significant time working alongside our customers. We call this team forward deployed engineers, and they obsessed over the intricacies of our customers' daily work, business models, and pain points. We started this way by necessity. While Palantir had a strong product, including an advanced data integration platform, revisioning database, and more, we surprisingly didn't have much experience with the complexities of workflows or data sources of our early defense and intelligence customers. That necessity became our unfair advantage. We iterated and extended our platform alongside our customers, improving their mission effectiveness by understanding their needs and improving our products by abstracting those needs into universal components we could then apply to other problems. Improving their mission effectiveness by understanding their needs and improving our products by abstracting those needs into universal components we could then apply to other problems. We productized our services. Year over year, the labor and configuration required to establish value have decreased, while the scope of what Palantir can do has exploded. What's been consistent throughout is that services have supported product revenue, not vice versa. This remains unintuitive for people who think a business must be one thing or the other. Our success relied on boldness and talent and a unique approach to mapping customers' data and processes and encoding it in our solutions. We call this map an ontology. It's actually really interesting to read this coming from Joe Lonsdale, since he's saying that's the first company he co-founded. Because Palantir just recently, I remember one of my early stocks was Palantir, and I had just bought one stock, and that stock was so low, but I just bought it because I was like, okay, this is Peter Thiel, so I will buy it. Peter Thiel is really, really smart. I'm I'm guessing, yeah, he's doing some good stuff and this is gonna be big, but the stock was just flat for years and years. And then very recently, maybe like less than 6 months ago, people realized the true value of Palantir because they just realized that how much new, like they basically, in this age of AI, data is the most important, and they know how to not only go and understand how systems work, but also improve the system, but also collect the data, and then and iterate and create new models to improve this entire system of what data needs to be collected and how the data needs to be processed. So this is very interesting that we are reading this right now. He wrote this last year. Okay. So there could be two things. Either after his blog, the stock went up, or the stock went up and then he's like, okay, let me explain you why. I don't think so. I think he wrote this and the stock went up. This is very interesting. Okay. Our success relied on boldness and talent and a unique approach to mapping customers' data and processes and encoding into our solutions. We call this map an ontology, and it enabled us to serve the world's largest organizations where outcomes require complex workflows across numerous functions, systems, and data formats. But it's only possible through a depth of customer partnership unimaginable to classic product companies. A product approach works best when solving a common pain point for countless customers, like payment processing. When serving the world's most complex organizations, a special operations services mentality is what actually lets you build complete solutions, which in the end are worth more than out of the box products. This makes so much sense. This is pretty much like, okay, there are two ways that people work. It's either sitting in your office thinking what the problem might be and building a common product, or going directly to one user, solving their very specific problem. What they are doing is the middle way. The middle way is send our people to all these customers one on one, help them one on one, but always think from the perspective that whatever you learn from here, you have to come back to the office and make that such that that same model could be used to solve every other agency, every other institution's problem. So it's the middle way. Very interesting. Read the rest at 8VC. No comments. Whoa. Okay, read the rest at 8VC. Let's go. All right, this is a great way to introduce. This is a great way to redirect people to your website. Back to resources. The AI services wave. Lessons from Palantir in the new age of AI. Joe Lonsdale, Jack Moshkovich, investment team. Drew Otting, investment team. Sebastian Kaliri, Arthur James, operations. Last one, the first company I co-founded, Palantir, joined the S&P 500. Okay. Services are cool now. With the arrival of LLMs, more services firms have become much more exciting businesses. At 8VC, we are seeing extraordinary results from integrating AI with best-in-class operations to transform the economics and scalability of B2B service industries. AI can automate messy language-based human workflows and is often even better than humans at catching mistakes or dealing with edge cases. This is not true universally. There are still lots of places where human judgment or creativity is important. Try asking ChatGPT to suggest team building exercises. And so a hybrid business model often ends up the best way to solve the real problem the end customer has while letting you capture more of the value you create in the process. Software might have eaten the world in the last decade, but it left plenty of legacy services industries on the plate. We estimate that the American services sector spent $5 trillion on wage changes in AI exposed job functions every year. In many of these industries, total factor productivity has gone down over the last 2 decades, even as IT spend has grown. It's not uncommon to find incumbents with largely paper based or on premise systems of records. When SaaS has been adopted, it is typically for non core parts of the business and rarely used to its potential. We see an opportunity not just to sell more software to these businesses, but to compete directly. Over the last few years, 8VC has invested in full stack challengers in healthcare billing, Candid, freight, audit and pay, Loop, insurance, third party administration, reserve, and lead generation land base. These startups have a similar offering to incumbent competitors but use AI and a vertical integrated technology stack to drive much higher margins and deliver unrecognizably better service, faster, cheaper 24/7. Breaking down the workflows performed in each of these professions, we estimate that there are over $1 trillion in support, back office, operations, and sales wages that companies could recapture as profit today by improving margins with automation doubling or tripling productivity. Billing workflows, accounting, recruiting, legal, insurance, and many more are prime candidates for such disruption. We also see big opportunities in less obvious industries like higher education, where campus is providing high quality community college at higher margins. High quality community college, elite education for all. Personal coach, transfer path, campus, online yet not remote. Okay. A community college focused on maximizing access to world class education. This is what we need, right? This is what we need. Where campus is providing higher quality community college at higher margins. These businesses are also more scalable than incumbents and can grow efficiently with a mix of organic and inorganic strategies. What exactly is an AI services company? A lot of the recent AI discourse has focused on the concept of services as software, and rightfully so. Some of the fastest growing startups in the world right now, including HPC companies like Fieldguide, the future of trust, powered by Fieldguide, built by and for practitioners. The future of trust. Advisory and audit firms saves time, increasing margins and improve client satisfaction. Top 100 firms profitably scale their businesses with Fieldguide. Okay. Are taking advantage of software's newfound ability to go after labor spend as part of the value prop instead of just serving as an enabler. When model performance alone is not quite sufficient for the task, these are often sold as co-pilots that proactively guide end users to superior results. A prime example is Numerics, technical accounting AI. Numeric, AI powered close automation. Leading teams organize their close, streamline reconciliation and leverage AI for auto drafted flux analysis and lightning fast reporting. Audit ready, accurate financials without the grind. Onboard easily, drill down to the source, leverage AI from record to report, enterprise ready. Which lets in house accountants skip to the first draft of memos, reports, and other products. In some cases, existing workflows can be largely replicated by agents, allowing process owners to focus on higher order priorities like Thesi, which helps in house recruiters elevate candidate experience and scale with new headcount. Screens, schedules, communicates, integrates, serious about AI safety, performance review, feeling underwater, partner with Max. Hey Max. Hey, I'm Max. How can I help? Interesting. Interesting. Which helps in-house recruiters elevate the candidate experience and skill without new headcount. There are plenty of industries where approaches like this can work if you build a great product and capture market share quickly. It does come with two big risks. First, because anyone can leverage the models, your product is typically quickly under threat from competitors, winners, including incumbent SaaS winners your potential customers are already using. Second, you are at risk from the foundation models themselves, which can make parts of your product redundant with emerging capabilities natively encoded into the next generation of models. The models, however, are unlikely to achieve the end to end automation of many complex processes that are either already outsourced to service firms or done internally by employees. This would be godlike AGI. The key to going after these workflows and the spend associated with them is combining technology with human expertise. This approach doesn't just create a lot of value for customers, it allows companies to capture a larger share of the value and become more resilient in the face of future AI advancements. As the customer, not going to take you're not going to care how good the models are at doing something that's already fully solved for you. You're not going to care how good the models are doing something that's already fully solved for you. The best tech services companies use technology to drive operating leverage in two ways: create a unique value proposition with faster, cheaper, and better service quality than legacy providers, improve unit economics by removing big chunks of labor from COGS, both altering the margin structure and making the business easier to scale relative to incumbent competitors. Take freight audit and payment. Billions of dollars are lost every year in incorrect freight audits, and tens of billions are spent on outsourced service firms of mixed quality. A point solution that automates invoice checking is useful, but is not as valuable or sticky as a company like Loop that handles everything from billing decisions to payment processing. Their full stack approach allowed them to redesign the entire process and create efficiencies throughout, not just in isolated pockets. From their customers' perspective, this is transformative. Instead of juggling multiple vendors or struggling to integrate a patchwork of software tools, they can outsource the entire function to a single AI enabled provider. In turn, Loop can optimize across the entire workflow, finding efficiencies and cost savings invisible to both off the shelf software and legacy service providers. There is, of course, a trade off. Loop has to manage the complexity of combining software and AI capabilities with an operations team that picks up the tasks that can't yet be fully automated. This isn't the first time people have tried to build vertically integrated tech services companies. Many great companies were built through tight integration of in-house software and best-in-class operating practices, but there are also many recent examples of VC-backed tech services startups that raised hundreds of millions of dollars and didn't work out. These companies often spend huge amounts on R&D without getting any real P&L benefit from that spend. At its peak, we work at almost 500 software engineers. It turns out having lots of engineers doesn't make you a tech company. Having worked with our top performing tech service companies over the last few years, four core principles stand out as major determinants of success. Map the whole business ontology to prioritize R&D focus, obsess over metrics, combine organic and inorganic growth, build a team fit for the task. Object type: airport. Departed from, arrived to, hub for, airlines, flight, delay, aircraft, owned by, flown by. At Palantir, we developed the concept of a business ontology, which defines the data schema and workflows that end up in every operation in a company. Understanding the end user's business ontology is essential for building great SaaS products, but it's even more important when building great tech enabled service businesses, where the ultimate value is created by the symbiosis of software and operations. An ontology is made up of data, logic, and actions. It acts as a business process map that defines any given workflow. A simplified version of an ontology can look something like this for an airline. A simple ontology of 5 object types displays some of the properties and relationship with the airline industry datasets. properties, object. Object type. Syntax and grammar of a company consists of different objects. Map those objects, their state relations and operations to concepts like owned by, operated by. We can then translate those states and concepts to the workflows, gaining insights into the business, which lets us act to automate or augment our processes. In tech-enabled services, the natural starting place is to map the end-to-end ontology as it exists in the status quo. How does the work get done today? What objects, data, and actions are involved at each step? What set of states can each object be in? What sort of relations can they have to one another? This kind of holistic mapping gives you a granular understanding of the jobs to be done, their atomic units, and how they're currently split between people and its software systems. Building an ontology is also the key enabler for data integration, which in turn enables automation. Most people would assume that you have to integrate data first, then derive the ontology, but the reverse is true. In any massive organization, data is scattered across many formats and places. An ontology creates the structure to address the full scope of legacy and future data challenges. Palantir became the best in the world at data integration and a leader in enterprise AI because they made an ontology of first principle early and spent 20 years deploying top talent toward creating state-of-the-art solutions for their customers. This is the exact playbook Reserve followed as they were starting out. By deeply understanding the claims adjuster workflow, they were able to make the right decisions on what to build in-house versus licensing, which ultimately let them scale extremely quickly when they won a big customer contract. A detailed business ontology lets you prioritize R&D investments in margin improvement and customer-facing features. Combining the two is what creates enduring value. Ontologies in concept and practical application are well understood by most great SaaS businesses and only become more important in the world of tech-enabled services. Three-way relationship between your customers, your employees, and your software system. You have to combine cultures of technical and operational excellence to create a positive feedback loop between the software and the labor. Many smart young entrepreneurs think doing this type of work upfront and distilling it into something as simple as a deck is a bad use of the time. In reality, mapping the ontology and building a set of materials around the work serves multiple purposes: nailing the vision, staking out specific goals, and aligning the team. It also enables the people around the business, whether investors or advisors, to provide much more substantive feedback based on their prior work in the field. This type of alignment is more complicated than ever in tech services companies since there are many trade-offs to think about on day one, and the cost of choosing the wrong direction can be severe. Obsess over metrics. Once you have the ontology, it becomes easier to see what to measure, to read the vital signs of your business. SaaS metrics have become standardized over the last decade, and today, between knowing the right KPIs and the surplus of products designed to help you track and analyze them, it's pretty easy to have high fidelity instrumentation for your operations. And SaaS companies' high gross margins give them a bit of breathing room to be less disciplined about their operational metrics without affecting their P&L, as long as sales is working. Service businesses are the exact opposite. It is especially important to identify and track core metrics because value creation in services is often more complex and intangible than in product-centric companies. It's also a lot less obvious which metrics really matter. As companies selling to debt collectors has to measure roughly the same things as one that sells to architecture firms, but there are few KPIs common to both debt collectors and architects. Not doing this work, or worse, choosing the wrong metrics can quickly lead to painful P&L problems. A classic metric for a wealth management firm might be assets under management, but an ontology reveals how client satisfaction, portfolio performance, and advisor efficiency are connected over the long term. This lets you create stronger metrics and direct your actions towards improving them. When done right, choosing and tracking the right metrics gives you a far more sophisticated grasp on your business, which lets you consistently make better decisions. Ontology driven metrics analysis can reveal unexpected leverage points as well. In customer support, you might find that accurate problem categorization matters more than initial response speed for overall resolution time and satisfaction. When Reserve automates part of the claims process, it can trace the impact not just on processing speed but on downstream factors such as customer satisfaction and cash flow. This panoramic view of the metrics lets them identify and head off issues before they happen. The premise behind all tech-enabled service businesses is that getting people and software working in tandem will improve margins and service delivery. To achieve this, metrics can just arrive quarterly in a backwards-facing report that executives glance at occasionally. They need to be the focus of the entire business. The obsession with metrics is universal among 8BC's best performing service companies. They don't just measure, they live and breathe their metrics. They use them to drive decision making, prioritize investments, and align their teams. In these companies, you will find that everyone, regardless of their role, can tell you their key metrics and how their work contributes to moving them in the right direction. Combine organic and inorganic growth. During the 2010s, many venture investors rightfully viewed inorganic growth, that is, acquiring customers via buying another business, in the operating plan as a bit of a red flag. More than not, M&A was used as a band-aid over product gaps or poor sales execution instead of addressing the root cause, a lack of product market fit. Today's paradigm for tech services companies is entirely different, and entrepreneurs and investors alike need to update the frameworks accordingly. Buying an incumbent can help solve the cold start problem for companies operating in markets with high regulatory barriers or switching costs and relative lack of differentiation between service vendors. Reducing hiring and sales pressure can allow startups to focus on validating tech-driven margin improvements in the early phase of company building. M&A is especially effective and it's sometimes necessary in industries with sticky contracts or risk-averse customers. If done well, inorganic growth can be a powerful accelerant for companies that have proven stronger margins in industries with a long tail of service vendors. A legacy service business with 15% margins might trade at around 6 to 8x cash flow, or about 1x revenue, and even less if it's losing business to your upstart. An AI service company that's been built well over a few years might already have 60% margins and be growing faster. It will trade at a sometimes slightly higher multiple. Integrating acquired legacy companies into the platform fundamentally increases the enterprise value of the existing revenue pool by improving the underlying economics, as well as some cases re-accelerating the growth. Buying competitors for 1x the revenue, the AI company can invest 100 million in M&A to create 60 million in cash flow or 600 million in equity value at a 10x multiple. This is not your father's inorganic growth strategy. This approach to scaling tech-enabled services may end up being integral to the next phase of American industry, a vector by which best-in-class technology gets integrated into the economy as a whole. From the outside, someone might worry that VCs are suddenly trying to get into PE and foretell disastrous results. That's not the point here. These are technology companies that takes a venture and startup mindset and a deep understanding of what is technically possible to create and invest in these companies in the first place. When technology can affect such a meaningful productivity improvement in a service workflow, inorganic growth becomes an obvious way to create tens of billions of dollars of value. M&A is not the appropriate strategy for all such companies, especially if customers are cheap to acquire. Integrating acquisitions particularly cumbersome. Having an ontology will help you deliberate these trade-offs and articulate your specific goals as you wrestle with questions like the right size of your first acquisition or whether you should pursue one in a service vertical you're already in versus an adjacent one. While there's still justifiably some hangover from poor tech M&A examples of the past decade, this new paradigm unlocks a new strategy for companies to predictably deploy large amounts of capital with great ROI. AI agents, wait, it's all just ontologies. Always has been. Build a team fit for the task. The most common characteristics across the winners of the SaaS wave is that they have strong technical cultures and empower engineering talent to iterate quickly. As software proliferated into more niche market areas less known to Silicon Valley native talent, companies learned that domain expertise and speaking the customer's language are also critical. This required building out a strong set of industry advisors or even at times hiring industry veterans with little tech experience. The tech enabled services wave will sharpen this paradigm. Creating successful businesses will require hiring top technical and operational talent, people who combine IQ with EQ. It also required combining fast paced innovation culture with the client focused, process oriented approach of top service businesses. It's not enough to have both types of people on the team, they must collaborate with, learn from, and actually like each other. Since many engineering priorities are derived from ops teams that handle customers day to day, technical talent beyond having skill in AI and software development will need to be curious and respectful towards the nuances of service operations. Operational experts need to be open to new technologies and willing to rethink established processes up to and including replacing themselves. Palantir's forward deployed engineers became a central part of our own internal ontology. Embedding directly with customers to configure the platform to their unique needs was how we brought this domain specific mentality into our culture. At the time, deploying engineers to work alongside customers was totally alien to top Silicon Valley tech companies who prefer to leave client interactions to sales and customer success team. It was and is very hard to hire people who combine the technical, operational, and communication skills to work closely with non-technical customers. But this hiring mentality is essential in tech-enabled services, and it's perhaps not surprising that many founders and early employees of our tech services portfolio companies are Palantir alumni. Building the right team is about creating a culture that values both technological innovation and service excellence. If you're pursuing an inorganic growth strategy, you also need DNA from the PE world, which has the wisdom and experience to manage acquisitions and align incentives. It's this combination that allows tech-enabled service businesses to not only replicate existing services more efficiently but transform entire industries. Really interesting. Okay. What do we have? Overland AI. Announcing investment in Overland AI. Fund 6, almost $1 billion. The world is broken. Let's fix it. Whoa. Okay. 8VC is a technology and life sciences investment firm that builds and invests in the world's most ambitious companies. We partner with leading entrepreneurs and innovators to build technology platforms that create lasting economic and societal value, transforming industries and pioneering new ones. Life science, healthcare, manufacturing, enterprise, logistics, defense, core investments. Eucopite, Epirus, Enduril, Vercel, Hopscotch Talent, Hopscotch Health, sorry. Saronic. Our investment portfolio support fund operations and administrative teams. View team. Wow, view 4,000 open positions. Engineering fellowship. The most compelling industry opportunities for the most accomplished rising technologists. Become a contributor to an 8VC company and part of an exceptional peer group. When the companies we want to back don't exist yet, we build them. When the companies we want to back don't exist yet, we build them. Companies founded since 2016-21. firm built by founders for founders. Entrepreneurial DNA is one of our core values. Our partners have built companies from the ground up, and we understand that it takes to succeed across industries and verticals. What it takes. 8VC Build program leverages our background as entrepreneurs, vantage point as investors, and powerful talent network to launch companies to address conceptual gaps in the market. Gaps in the market. Founders, which makes us better. We are founders, which makes us better investors, which makes us better founders. The virtuous cycle of investing and building. Through the investment process, we often identify white spaces and internal thesis where there are opportunities to remedy an important part of the world. We gain exposure through our work to determine the optimal approach to add value, often by tackling messy legacy technical systems in industries paralyzed by their scale. The Build program creates a powerful channel for 8VC to act on these ideas, partnering with ambitious entrepreneurs and engineers and creating positive feedback loops as we build sustainable businesses. 8VC Build companies are either initially driven by these internal thesis or entrepreneurs in residence who join 8VC with a problem, technology, or vertical in mind. Personally involved with each of the 8VC Build companies, helping to craft the thesis and guide strategy. Partners across the firm work directly with the founders in the build process to give our companies unfair advantage. Whoa, Citizen. Okay. I think I was talking to the founder of Citizen. Alex Moore. OpenGov. Our build companies are tackling hard problems across a range of industry sectors. GovTech, defense. Justin Rockefeller, co-founder. The L Thelimpact.org. Blake Brickman, Stephen Harper, 22nd Prime Minister of Canada. Zachary Bookman, CEO OpenGov. Alex Moore, Brian Hendrickson, retired Navy Rear Admiral, Naval Special Warfare. Ziwan, Charlie. Logistics and IT. David Weiler. Charlene Schneider. Jake Medwell. Justin Hall Primo. Chris Walmart. Alan UPS. Vector Beacon Life Science. Alicia Drawbridge Health. Lawrence UCSF. Whoa. Founder Kite Pharma, Allergen, Cougar Biotech, Egenesis. CEO Illumio. VC Maggie Ventures. Velocity. Dan. AppDirect. Mammoth. Whoa, so Mammoth was created by 8VC. Okay. Mammoth wants to bring back the mammoth. Mammoth Bioscience is harnessing the diversity of nature to power the next generation of CRISPR products. Through the discovery and development of novel CRISPR systems, the company is enabling the full potential of its platform to improve lives by reading and writing the code of life. Mammoth aims to democratize disease detection with an easy and affordable point-of-care test that allows real time and simultaneous detection of multiple conditions. And financial services, Adipar, Blend, Horth, Investor, Investor, Adipar, Eric, Lefrak, Intuit. Okay. Okay, Sarnik was. Yeah, I thought Sarnik was a new one. Okay. Government and defense, what do we have? Intelligent autonomous surface vessels, combining advanced software, hardware, and AI to achieve mission level autonomy. In increasingly asymmetric battle space, traditional naval ships are too large, too expensive, and too time consuming to build and replace. The answer is vessels as platforms capable of rapidly integrating mission specific payload sensors and communication systems to detect, monitor, and neutralize potential maritime threats. Redefine maritime superiority. Partner with Dino, former Navy SEAL with 8 combat tours, turned private equity technology investor as a defense EIR. Alongside, how was it built? Okay. Alongside the 8VC defense team, Dino conducted extensive evaluation of critical national security needs before developing the concepts that became Saranac. The executive team was rounded out with leaders from Anduril, Naval Special Warfare, the US Marine Corps, Liquid Robotics, Northrop Grumman, and Tesla. Cerenix Engineering Group combines the top echelon of hardware, software, AI, and systems engineering talent working across 100,000 square feet of factory space in Austin. Less than 12 months from inception, Saranac formally launched its first product and now produces two classes of ASPs with a third close behind. 6 inch, 6 inch? 6, what is that? Is that inch? I don't know. Spyglass is built for tactical deployment, while the 14 Cutlass boasts Cutlass boasts 10x the range and 5x the payload capacity. Saranac recently sailed both vessels in Navy's Integrated Battle Problem 24.1 live exercise, extending the C2 and launch capabilities. Multiple retired admirals who are helping advance efforts to federate ASPs across the naval fleet.
The U.S. Navy has long been the world's most dominant naval force, but the future of warfare is changing.
The Pentagon watched China build the largest navy in the world.
Dino Mavrikis. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Saronic. We're a defense. Dino Mavrikis. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Saronic. We're a defense technology company that builds autonomous surface vessels for the Navy. We are the only company in the space that's able to build the boat and the software and the autonomy. We are the only company in the space that's able to build the boat and the software and the autonomy. I started my career in the Navy. I was in the Navy SEAL teams for 11 years. We believe the future of warfare is distributed autonomy. World War I and World War II. Why did we have the most dominant Navy in the world? It wasn't because we had the most expensive and exquisite ships. It's because we had the most dominant shipbuilding industry. Every time we lost a ship in battle, we would replace it with 2, 3, 4 ships. Our adversaries couldn't do that. Today, that isn't true. I've seen estimates that the Chinese have 250 times our shipbuilding capacity. The only way the Navy closes that gap is through attritable autonomous platforms that can be produced economically at scale. We started our company in September of 2022. Within 90 days, we had the initial company in September of 2022. Within 90 days, we had the initial team built, and we had 2 contracts signed with the government. Within 180 days, we had our first prototypes in the water doing chose to build with APC based on their conviction and our mission. And really, whatever they do, it's to go build big, impactful businesses that change the world. Like, that's what we're trying to do here at Saronic.
Really cool. Really cool. So these ships are tiny ships. Saronic Epirus. Epirus is also very interesting. Epirus combines high powered microwave AI and advanced electronics to protect and sustain civilization. Asymmetric threats to critical infrastructure and mass gatherings, particularly drone swarms, require dynamic, powerful, and cost effective defenses. Epirus produces the most energy dense phased array in existence, creating a platform for intelligent software defined electronic warfare systems with adjacent opportunities and optimized power solutions for commercial markets. 8VC helped to build a company around veteran defense leadership, top interdisciplinary technical talent, and a culture of ownership and relentless problem solving. That culture has allowed Epirus to repeatedly take systems from concept to field demonstration in a matter of months. CEO Andy Lowery is a repeat founder, former chief engineer of electronic warfare systems at Raytheon, and retired U.S. Navy Lieutenant Commander. Lieutenant Commander. Co-founder and executive chairman Grant Verstandig is a multi-industry entrepreneur, having sold Valley Health for $7 billion to United Health. Investor and advisor to the National Security Agency on advanced analytics, technology, and AI. Epirus's Leonidas product family utilizes solid-state software-defined long pulse high power microwave technology to achieve unmatched effects against modern electronic threats, beginning with the counter UAS mission. Early 2023, Epirus was awarded a $66 million contract with the US Army to deliver multiple Leonidas systems. Additional customers include the US Air Force, the US Office of Naval Research, and DARPA. The company closed a $200 million Series C in early 2022, bringing its valuation to $1.35 billion. It's interesting. Like, if you are selling to the US government, is there a cap on your valuation? Not sure. Affinity Terminal Cambium. Companies founded. TAP. Big problems, big impact. Assemble artist colonies. We search for uniquely equipped individuals, artists at the top of the discipline, creating the magnitude of the talent spikes with the breadth of generalist capabilities. With eyes wide open, these artists can be matched with teams with complementary skill sets, creating colonies of strength. This approach generates a dialectic organization, naturally cultivating highly diverse teams with a myriad of perspectives. By applying high rigor to the identification of this artist and composition of teams, 8VC build ensures that the starting fabric of our companies is resilient, creative, and set up for success.